All right, folks, welcome back to Unofficially Opinionated. I am Christian. We got Nate here as usual,
That's me.
and Tim, and special guest Daryl. What's up, Daryl?
What's happening? What's
Daryl.
happening?
All right, well, we'll talk to him a little bit later about what he's been up to, but just real quick, I guess, how's the week been, guys? What's been going on?
Gardening. Listen, I have been gardening like this entire or the entire last week. And Friday, I think it was Friday, I I worked in the garden from 10 in the morning until 6 in the evening with
Oh,
a
you gardening,
30-minute,
Mm.
yeah, like I was like digging out, oh my goodness, like I had the rototiller and I was like chopping up the dirt or whatever, the rototiller is
Jeez.
whatever. And then I had to dig the like trenches and stuff. Oh my goodness, it was a lot of work. I was so exhausted. Like I slept for like 8 or 9 or 10 hours or something like that. I was knocked out. It was ridiculous. And when I got up, ate, and went straight back to sleep.
Yeah, you get too old for all that, Nate.
I know.
The body was like, too much.
Not today.
Give us a break.
But hopefully
Give us a
we'll have
break.
some really good potatoes because that's what I was planning: potatoes and carrots. So hopefully we'll have
That's
some.
impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not too much into gardening, but I did order. There's this company called Sunday that they do like kind of like natural like lawn care products.
Mm.
So they kind of based on where you live and the environment and stuff, they'll kind of send you like a packet of stuff that you kind of do like once a week. But I've been waiting for it to not to rain to start the process. So I think I'll start tomorrow because they want you to do it so they want you to do it within like 2 or 3 days of rain. So they don't want to rain on the product and like wash it away. So
Oh,
you got to do it when it's going to be dry for a bit. So
but what
I
does the
said that kind of
product do
backwards,
now?
but so it's like fertilizer and it's
Oh,
different nutrients and things to put on the lawn. So
okay.
this isn't gardening. This is just for the grass,
Right.
which
Okay.
is a hassle in and of itself.
Yes.
But so I'll start that pretty soon. So I'm excited about that. But I mean, besides that and cutting the grass, like I don't really do any gardening. So that's not really.
Well, listen,
I would love to have a garden. I think it'd be cool, but
you can't turn
maybe
your
someday.
lawn into a garden or part of it.
I mean, I could. It's funny. I'm saying it like it's impossible. Like I
Right.
would love to do it, but if only there was some way to make a garden in my backyard. I don't
He doesn't
know.
want a
If
garden.
only there were tools.
Just out of reach.
He doesn't want a garden.
I
He
don't want
doesn't. No.
That's the truth. I don't like cutting the grass. I'm like, can I just put gravel out here and just kill everything and then leave it alone?
Right.
This is too much
Oh,
work.
that's so horrible.
And when spring comes, I see it growing again. I'm like, jeez, here we
I
go
know.
again.
Yep.
Here we go. But I use it as my alone time. I put, a podcast in, hint, or whatever, and then I just go for a couple hours and get it done. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Uh,
But yeah, other than that, yeah, I just been. I told you guys last time. I'm still down. I think 4-ish pounds, so not too bad.
Have you lost any since?
Working on that. Have I lost any since?
Yeah. Since the last time.
Oh, so yeah, I'm saying overall, I'm still down about 4. So it kind of goes up and down.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So I was like, lost any sense? It's affecting weight, not my brain, sir. I was very confused, but yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
I needed subtitles for that one so I could read what you were really saying. But no, yes, that's going pretty good. So I got my water here. So if you see me guzzling water,
Yeah.
trying to do better.
Good. Well, me too. So.
I'm dripping water everywhere.
Uh,
How about you, Tim? What's up?
so I didn't work on a garden, and I didn't work on my lawn. I worked on my rose bush that I got from a wife. I sat out
Oh,
there.
that the whatchamacallits were
Painters-
trampling the.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah.
So I was out
These
there
weeds over here.
watering my stuff and trying to see if I can get some semblance of life out of it, and we're gonna work on it. But that's what I was doing. I just want to stay in the
Okay.
same in the same motif as you guys here with the
Oh,
nature.
gardening. Yeah. Well, listen, after fall gardening, I don't do any more gardening. They're like, oh, you could do winter gardening. Not for me. It is too
Everything
cold
dies
and
in
I don't
winter.
care. Exactly. So,
No, thank you.
what about you, Daryl? What you been doing this week? Laura last week, I guess.
Got a job this past week, finally. So
Oh,
was
shut
cool.
up. Nice.
yeah, moved down
Okay.
here. Was going off of
You
just writing off the unemployment. Got laid off in December.
So moving down here is just strictly
Okay.
unemployment. So told myself I needed to get a job, did my resume, all that good stuff. Went ahead. Let me see. Friday was the first interview. They told me Monday had to be in the office, come for an interview. And then Tuesday had my last interview. Wednesday they gave me the offer, so I'm just hyped, you know, getting back to making some decent
Nice.
money.
Sweet.
That's how. Definitely. Excuse me. You want to share what it is, or are you just like no?
It's a regular in office job. It's an office sales job. I mean, they brought the bag though, so I'm super excited. You know what I mean? It's like a lot higher than what I
Hey, that's what
expected the pay to
matters,
be.
man.
Yeah.
But they're
Nice. Okay.
having us go in office, which is like there's no hybrid position.
Mm.
I want to like do something kind of remote, but I know that
Yep.
Amazon is pushing for people to be back in the office, so every other company is following suit. Then when we get people, heads
Yeah.
back in the offices, stuff like that. But it's
Yeah.
15 minutes from where I'm at now. It's downtown LA, so it's
Nice.
not much of a commute.
That's
That's not
always
bad.
especially in LA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
15
And
minutes an hour.
they
You're
provide parking.
good.
So like downtown LA Fashion District,
Okay.
they provide parking for us. I'm like, they validate every day. So I'm like, man, you can get no better than that,
Man.
And you have a car then?
Very
You have
nice.
a car
Yeah,
in LA?
I drove down here.
Oh wow, okay. Man, you bold. Okay, cool. Because LA, man, that traffic is ridiculous. I will always remember LA
It's nuts.
traffic. And I'm sure it hasn't gotten better. Right?
Mm-mm, not
Oh
at all.
man, okay.
No way. Well, good, good, good. So, Nate, I know before we get into it, you had kind of an announcement for today. You want to talk about some things that we are up to with the channel and the
Yes.
podcast.
Yes. So I just wanted to give a shout out to our listeners who have already followed us and on Instagram and subscribed to us on YouTube. Thank you so very much. It's very awesome because in excuse me, we keep growing and now we're really trying to make the podcast. It's a business venture for us. It has become a business venture for us three. So we are we have goals. We've set goals, and one of them is so that we can. One of them is that we reach 10K, so 10,000 followers on Instagram and 10,000 subscribers on YouTube by the end of June. So again, thank you for everyone who's already subscribed and followed, and we want to ask those of you who have not yet done so to please do so. Just go excuse me, go to our Instagram page, unofficially opinionated, and click follow, and a YouTube channel, same name, and click subscribe. That's what we're looking for. We're trying to go, like I said, we're becoming a business, and so we're looking for sponsorships. And the first step is really to get followers, then downloads, and that's generally how the social media game works. So that's what we're headed for. And then, so thank you very much for following, subscribing, and then also like and leave a comment, especially on YouTube. That's it helps with the algorithm, but it also helps with interactivity. So we are able to.
Yeah, we love it.
Yeah, we love it. We love interacting
Yeah,
with you all.
I saw some good interaction on our Chris Rock episode. I saw a few people were
Oh yeah,
had some interesting comments on there. So yeah, keep it coming.
yeah.
Keep it coming.
Yeah, my older brother listened to it as well, but I don't know if he left a comment. He just told me we talked, and he told me his opinion of it. So that was really cool. So yeah, we love hearing, seeing, and hearing your comments and stuff like that. So, and then also for those of you who have listened to the super secret episode, the super secret surprise episode, part 2, that came out on May 8th, we will be reaching the end of our project, or your project if you decided to take part in it. So keep it up and then prepare to give us the results of the project. If you've listened, you know what I'm talking about. So, and for those of you who didn't listen, what are you doing?
Get on that.
Go listen. So
Get in the archives.
Yeah.
It's still there. They don't go away.
They don't go away.
Back catalog. Yeah, it's there. You can listen.
Which is good for
Not too
us.
late.
So and good for you. So yeah, those are the announcements.
Sweet.
Real
All
fast,
right.
guys.
Well,
May
on
8th last
to
year?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm
Nope.
about to say I know
May
May 8th is not.
yeah.
No,
See,
yes.
see, we
I
got
had to
a time
ask
situation
'cause
going on here with the recording. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
He's like,
He was like,
maybe he meant April.
but today,
I didn't want
but you
to.
guys are
You know what you're
how
talking about.
it's the
I didn't want
multiverse.
to. You know what I mean? I want to
Don't
make
worry
sure.
about it.
I was like, bro, that's a
Oh,
whole.
let me tell you, because also,
I just
Oh,
want to make sure.
we've had issues.
Oh,
with
we've had
different
issues.
time zones and
listen. Also, I'm dyscalculate. You know, like dyslexic, but with
Mhm.
numbers. So it's very, very difficult for me to like
I understand it.
to predict numbers. So it was a lot of time, a lot of like brain burning.
I wasn't trying to undermine you. I just wanted to make sure.
I think that's right.
I was
No,
like,
listen.
I love it so much because same thing. When I read the notes, I was like, "Oh, right," because we don't publish the same. So
right.
in the future. Okay.
I was trying to make it look futuristic.
Exactly.
Then Darryl just called me out.
I was like, okay.
No, it's all good.
Yeah, it was people. We record a few weeks ahead of time before we publish them to give us some leeway. So
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to mess up your vibe. You had to.
What? No, don't be sorry. No,
mess up the vibe. Please.
Yeah.
Please. Well, speaking of vibes, that's not really a segue, but I think I'm trying to use it.
Speaking of cars.
Yes, so Nate, we got Darryl here today.
Yeah.
Why don't you introduce us? Let us know who Darryl is and how you guys know each other.
Yeah. So apparently, I just found this out. I'm the only one that still calls him Lil Darryl because of his father. So Lil Darryl is
his father's Big Darryl.
Yeah, they used to call him when I was younger. They used to call him Big Darryl. Do they still call him Big Darryl?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, sorry. Little Darryl's my cousin, my little cousin.
I don't know about that.
My younger cousin.
I'm with you.
Yeah, I'm also really short, so I don't know. How tall are you, Darryl?
Wait, are you short, for real?
Yeah, I'm like 5'9".
Get out of here. Are you for real? I always thought you were always taller than me.
Yeah.
Up, so, nah, brother.
Yeah, I know,
6 feet tall.
exactly. But like everyone is taller than me now. How tall are you?
6 feet.
Jeez Louise. Oh, my goodness. Okay, yeah. So so he's my younger cousin. Not necessarily my little cousin. And his mom is my dad's sister. So they're siblings. So that is how we know each other. But my fault. I don't talk to any of my family at all, ever. Not because I don't like them, just because I don't talk to anybody. Because, I have this ADHD, and we haven't done an episode on that, but there's this thing called object permanence, right? And people with ADHD really struggle with that. So kind of like if you're not there, then it's easy not to think of it, because people with ADHD, they kind of need dopamine or whatever. Sorry, I'm going into this long explanation.
It's like an out of sight, out of mind kind of
why
thing.
I don't really contact people. Yeah.
Bottom line, you ignore your family.
Yeah,
I got it. It's fine.
Basically, that's what it's saying.
Look, I'm the same way. It's all good. It's all good. I don't judge you.
It's not on purpose. I love them all. Honestly, I love them all, but like I just don't talk to anybody. So yeah. Anyways, yeah, that's how we know each other. Darryl, you want to say something?
Yeah, man. It's obviously been some years, man, but all the memories I have of Nate growing up are super fond memories. My parents owned a home daycare for years, and he used to come work in the summer times at the daycare, playing video games, and just he was like one of my cool older cousins. We have, and his family, his sibling group is like the biggest ever, and so I could understand you not being in contact because there's just hella people to contact. It's like you can't just play eeny, meeny, miny, mo with your siblings. You know what I mean? But
no, that's the problem. Yep.
Yeah, but like he said, our parents are siblings. My Uncle Tony is probably my favorite uncle, actually. So anything that I need to help with growing up, like anything, cars, even money issues sometimes,
Oh yeah.
I always hit him up. He was always there. Even as of like 2 years ago, when I bought my last little beater car. I bought it from your dad. Um, so yeah,
Oh.
no, I love our
Oh,
family. As crazy as they can be, as disjointed as they
Oh,
can
they can
be.
be crazy.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
all the drama that comes with
Yep.
just being a big black family, so to speak. But
Yeah.
miss you, bro. I said I wanted to come out and come visit you, and and chop it up, you and your husband. Definitely wanted to come visit, but like I said, you guys heard my story. That was a very disastrous trip, so we
Yeah. Yeah.
didn't get
Don't
around to
feel bad,
the
but you can
connecting
come
with
back
people.
again.
Oh, I plan to. I plan to.
Oh yeah, definitely. We have a house in the countryside with multiple rooms, so like if and we're an hour away by train from Paris. We're an hour away from Paris by train. I don't know
That's
what the
tight.
best way to phrase that sentence
That's
is.
super tight.
we got it. We got it.
Yeah, yeah.
Train,
Spe-
Paris, hour.
Speaking of family, actually, just real quick, I contacted because we're doing the whole promotion to reach our goal. I contacted my sisters. My sisters are the best. Like I contacted them. I was like, listen, y'all be talking to everybody, so can y'all do me a solid, and, like just talk to the family, talk to people or whatever. And my sister Antoinette, she was like, "Yeah, and if I need to, I'm gonna make me some. I'm gonna make me some more accounts just to like and like follow and subscribe." So like, I really love my sisters. Like, but anyways, yeah. Sorry, that was a anecdote.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, I think today we're going to talk about a few things. We'll kind of talk to you, Darryl, about kind of, your journey to kind of getting to LA and all you're going through. So I know kind of the theme today is just looking at kind of dreams and desires and kind of following kind of your heart's desire, following kind of where you want to go. Um, I guess just to get us all kind of in a mindset, like when you guys hear like the idea of dreams and desires, what comes to mind? Like I know Nate has notes here just around kind of a dream tends to kind of be kind of a cherished aspiration, kind of an ambition, right? Like kind of where you see yourself going. And a desire is kind of more of is kind of the deep, strong feeling of kind of wanting or wishing for something, right? So when you guys think of like your dreams and desires, kind of what kinds of things come to mind? Nate, I know you've got all kinds of.
Yeah,
I know
so I'm
we
gonna
did a
let
kind of.
everybody else talk. Daryl, tell us as our guest,
Um,
what's like? Yeah.
when I think of the word dream, I think of a passion, right? I think of like a goal that might be bigger than yourself. Something that you press forward towards, or something that just always calls you and like pulls at you. Maybe in your conscious life and your subconscious as well. When you go to sleep, what are the things that you obviously dream about? When you're alone by yourself, what can you envision yourself doing? Not just from a temporary standpoint, but for a lifetime. They say if you find your dream or you find your passion, you'll never work a day. What is that state of mind or what is that thing for you? And I pose that question to a lot of different people every day because it gets harder and harder just trying to survive. For one, the price of living is up and things like that. So we're doing what we have to do to just kind of make it to the next week. But if you could do something that you would feel great about, something you could brag about, have people be proud of you for, what would that thing be every day? So again, that's how I correlate the word dream and desire. I think is again just something that's not tangible, but um, it could be a goal that you have in mind, and you can reset that goal, you can change that goal, something that's easy, that's accomplishable.
Okay.
For sure.
Nice.
Yeah, I think for me, it's maybe I tend to be too what's the word? Pragmatic sometimes. So it's difficult for me to really have sometimes like a true dream or desire because sometimes I'm just too busy thinking about like what can happen, and kind of limiting it versus kind of what do I truly truly desire or have a passion about. Maybe it's all just because I can't decide like which thing. And so I just kind of like forget it, you know. So I know for me, you know, there've been different things over time that I was kind of like passionate about. Um, you know, as when I was younger, one of those things was just speaking of, we'll probably get to this a little bit later, but you know, I was obsessed with like Jim Carrey, right? Like
Oh
Jim
yes, I
Carrey
remember.
was
Oh
my hero. I mean, I practiced in the mirror, like my eyebrows,
yeah.
like I was like, I would often walk like him. To the point where people would sometimes be like, wait, do you like Jim Carrey? Because I was just like taking on mannerisms and things. So, you know, that was a big thing. And then after a while, I was kind of, I'm not sure. I had an idea around like being a physical therapist, but that wasn't really like my dream. It was kind of it was a dream to have respect. And I figured kind of I didn't want to be a doctor, but I wanted to do something like adjacent. So that was kind of like a dream, right? And then since then I kind of moved into the other things and I always kind of wanted to be in the IT realm was kind of a generic dream. It still wasn't specific, right? It was kind of generic and I kind of worked my way over there over time. And so I think I'm still, for me, still thinking about and so wondering like what is it that I truly desire? I think I have an idea when we discussed kind of on our other the super secret episode,
Yeah.
right? Like I have a generic kind of desire and dream and passion, but it's not so much specific. So we'll see if that works kind of better or worse for me, kind of you know, in kind of the shooting for the thing because you know if it's broad enough that I should be able to hit it, right? So
I
I don't
mean,
know.
yeah.
Why not, right? But also it's more difficult to aim, right? If it's like so broad. So I'm working on that, trying to think through, you know, and envision where I'm trying to go.
Okay.
How about you, Tim?
So me, I must apologize. I have not had my coffee this morning. So, um,
Oh no. Do do we need a commercial break?
but I don't know. Like, as far as like dreams and desires, mine never made any sense. Like, I was always like 100% everywhere in my head. Like, I told myself I was gonna go to the moon. So, um, I I don't know. I don't know. I never had like dreams like as far as like what I wanted to do for myself. I always wanted to like I don't know like help other people, I guess, but I didn't always accomplish that
Oh,
goal.
that's so nice.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm that kind of
Mm.
dreamer.
You know,
The guy
just
who dreams about
to
stuff but
that
doesn't
type
go and
of
do it.
dream, people always say that before you help others, you have to help yourself,
Right.
which I think is true. So, like, you have to make sure that you um, are represent. Like, if somebody looks at you, so I tell my husband this all the time. I'm like, listen, don't take advice from people who are in the worst position than you, because that don't make any sense. Like, or if they're not, you know, I don't like, people love giving like relationship advice who have not made it work, you know. Excuse me, I'm just like, don't, let's not take advice from them, you know. Like, so you have to, I feel like, yeah, it's very good that you want to
can I
I'm not
challenge that
saying
real
that you
quick
don't,
though?
I'm just saying, yeah, go ahead.
Just on the relationship aspect, right? Like, you know, they say you can learn something from anybody, right? Like even the person on the street, the homeless
Yes.
person, you know, they have a bit of knowledge that you can gain from. I think just as if we're just talking about relationships, and I'll close the circuit on this, but I know a lot of times people give the advice because they want to help prevent something that happened to them. You know, like my relationship came to an end. It was 5 years. It was a beautiful thing. Now, after I've gone through therapy, I can now start to help my friends when I start to see certain patterns of behavior. So when I see something kind of rear its head, it's like, oh, wait, let me speak to that and give you this advice before you ended up in the position that I'm in, as opposed to coming from a know-it-all standpoint. I think that's kind of maybe what you're talking about, people who are
Yeah.
know-it-alls.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, you know, when it comes to like
Yeah.
preventative
Yeah.
help,
Yeah.
you know, something like that, then it can be
Hmm.
useful, right? Um, as opposed to somebody speaking from a standpoint of like pure arrogance, right?
Right.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I think to that point, it's important. Not to get us on a real tangent, but like
I
when
mean, we
you're
do
like,
tangents, so
yeah, but just thinking about like the desire and like the goals, right? Like when you're looking for someone to like emulate, it's not simply like what they're doing, right? It's
right.
also their mindset.
Yeah.
Like where are they actually? Like where's
Right.
their heart? Where's their mind? As far as someone you would need to listen to or even try to emulate, right? Like they may not be where you want to be physically, but if you talk to them and like you can hear kind of where their mindset is at, right? Like
Right.
that's someone that maybe you can work with and get something from, and you both progress,
Yeah.
right? But if someone that's just
Hmm.
like the mindset is like woe is me, like whatever, like I'm gonna do nothing, and they're doing nothing,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
But they're trying to tell you how to do
Right.
something, then it's like wait a minute,
That
like that's not
yeah, and so
Yeah,
that's
not
what I
helpful.
was talking about. What Chris is talking about right there. Yeah.
yeah. I always
Excuse
tell
me.
Hmm.
people, where do you pull this example from? You know,
Yeah, yeah. I
so
don't even
Right.
tell them that. I just don't pay attention. I just don't even look. I'm
no,
just like, okay,
I
well, listen,
like,
clearly.
where are you getting this from?
So, excuse me. Back to dreams and desire. So the those definitions that Chris said about, like, dream is being cherished aspiration and desire being a strong feeling. I got those from Google. I just Googled them, and apparently they come from the Oxford Dictionary. Excuse me. And I think so. What happened was. Um, Darryl, he's going to tell us a little bit more about like what you're doing in California, stuff like that. But I heard that, and I was really r- proud of you, Darryl. Not that you need me
Thank
to
you.
be proud be proud of you, but there's so few people, I think, that kind of have this dream or desire, and then actually just kind of push for it, who actually who reach out for it, if I may. For me, it's very important. These two, Chris and Tim, know I'm very much about like going for your desire. Like I want to be a life coach. I will be a life coach eventually, but going for your dreams and your desires. Now, I feel like dreams are very much like kind of this thing that's in your head, right? So you play around with dreams, like, do I want this? Do I want that? Like that's what I see dreams as, because I have a very huge distinction in my head. Desire is this thing where I have this dream, and now I have this determination to achieve that dream. So for me, the desire becomes something more of a yeah. So it's as a strong feeling. It becomes almost what your drive becomes. So
Mhm.
Hmm.
that's what I consider a desire. And I know the difference when there's something between something I just want, right, and something I'm like, I'm going to have that. Like, and that's what I
Right.
feel like is desire for me. There's really a difference there. So that's what I think of when I think of those two things. Not to say that one is better than the other. I think
Hmm.
dreams kind of they kind of jumpstart your desire. Um, Stuff like that, things that you've lived maybe also kind of jumpstart your desire, things that you've seen or whatever. I think they both have their place. So
Yeah. And I think to your point, Daryl, you were talking about just people like life is just getting more difficult and it's hard, right? And I think
Hmm.
it's important to have something outside of just what is
yeah,
in your day to day
yeah,
to really
Hmm.
kind of hold on to and look forward to and kind of point towards. Otherwise, you're just living every day with no goal, no aim, no aspiration, and no hope,
yeah,
right? It's just I go to
Yeah.
work, I do this thing, and I come home and I do the stuff, right? Versus, hey, look, like I have something that I'm looking forward to, and I'm maybe taking small steps. I'm taking steps towards that thing,
yeah,
and so I can feel good about that.
yep,
This
yep.
is why
That's
like
a
vision
very
boards are so important for people. Sorry not to
yeah,
interrupt you there, but that's why you have to be like, they tell you to write down your goals. You make it tangible. I have a whiteboard like right here in my room. It was one of the first things I did when I got to LA. It was like, okay, write it down. I have a friend down here who does music, and he told me like the first week, he was like, man, I wrote everything down. All the stuff that I didn't think was possible. All the intangible stuff. Is I just wrote everything out. Because at that point in time, nobody's going to be able to stop you from doing it except you, you know. But if you see this thing every
Right.
day and it's a constant reminder, like you said, we're going week to week, right? Most people are one paycheck away from it all crashing down, right? So if
Yep.
I'm just doing it day to day, like the regular, you know, just going to work 9 to 5, but then I have to know that what I'm doing is amounting to something greater. You know, it's like,
Yep.
you know, being in shape physically, like going to the gym. I'm a gym rat, you know, and I know what it's like to be in really peak condition. Over the past couple of years, you know, because of the pandemic and I had surgery, almost died. Like I had to like
Oh,
my health like reverted. You know what I'm saying? So now I'm not as big as I was, you know, last year, but it's like if you don't know what you're going for, you know what I'm saying? If you don't know what the top of that mountain looks like, even, you know, how can you start to climb? You know, what faith do you have when
Yep.
you start to climb? Right? It's like
Yep.
you can climb and say, I'm almost near the top, or I know how much longer it takes to get there, or you can climb and just continue to like just look up at this mountain that's just you know, that's huge, and it's just like the summit is unattainable for you. You know, so it's important for you to have to, or it's important for anybody to be able to look and see, you know, what their finish line is. You know, and I think that one of the biggest things, or I guess one of the best examples that people get in school, you know what graduation is. You know when it is. You know what you have to do to get there. You know, so it's an easier thing for
Yep.
people to achieve. The work is hard, of course,
Right.
but I used to tell one of my best friends, "Fam, you know June 22nd you walk across that stage. So it's January now, but 6 months from now you're gonna be done. You know, that is a very tangible, very
Yep.
real thing. So there's no reason that you're gonna stop yourself from doing that. When it comes to something kind of esoteric like entertainment, it's like you don't know what that finish line is because there's always more goals to set. You know, there's always a resetting of a goal. You know, there's nothing really tangible unless you say I want to win an Oscar, and even the work to do that isn't necessarily spelled out, you know, but there's
Yeah.
something that I know,
right.
a burning desire within myself every day to get closer towards that goal. You know, there's little things you can
Yeah.
do. Um, so I know I kind of rambled a little bit, but I mean, you know, to your point, like it is
We
important
all
to have
ramble.
something.
It's good.
It's important to have something that you're looking forward to on a day to day basis, or you'll lose yourself. You'll literally lose
Yep.
life, you know, without something to
Hmm.
look forward to.
Yep. Yep.
Oh man. Oh, I was just thinking. I know we're whatever. We'll just keep talking. But
Yeah.
I was thinking much like external versus internal, kind of like goals and dreams, right? Because I mean, one external thing could be getting an Oscar, right? But at the same time, right, like that doesn't necessarily equate to your value as an actual actor, right? Because
Right.
only so many people can get that, and we know how,
Absolutely.
you know. So you have to like there's the external of, hey, one day I'm gonna get this Oscar, but also you should have something else. You know,
Hmm.
hey, I want to have, you know, 10 successful movies or some other thing that is more tied to like yourself versus like the external validation of what you're doing. You know, in order to
Right.
kind of keep it together. Otherwise, you're just gonna, if you don't get the Oscar, you're gonna feel very terrible about yourself if that's your only reason for
Yeah.
doing any of it, right? Is
Right.
this external validation that I'm not getting from people.
And to that point, we like I personally have multiple goals. I have a lot of goals actually. For that, I don't assume that I'm going to fail at any of them. I assume that I'm going to excel at all of them, right? But they all have their own different timelines, right? So there's certain
Hmm.
things like, for example, this goal that we have to reach 10,000. It was my own personal goal that I wanted for the podcast that I shared with my co-hosts, and they agreed, and so we're pushing for that. That's one goal, but then I have another goal. I have a different goal, also including the podcast, where I would like it to go, which I shared with our co-host, and then I also have my own personal goals that I have, with relationship goals, like monetary goals like income goals, stuff like that. Like I have just a ton of goals with my relationship with God. Like I have a ton of different like goals that kind of encompass my life. So I do appreciate that point that you made there, Chris, because
Yeah.
I think it is
Yeah.
important.
And as you're talking through that, I wonder, so goals should obviously be like attainable, right? Like
Hmm.
this, like smart goals, right?
Mm-hmm.
But a dream, does does a dream need to be attainable? Meaning, is it possible to have goals and separately have dreams that may or may not be attainable, but something that you aspire to,
You mean
that
the carrot on a
that
stick?
you don't have to actually meet the thing to feel like you're progressing towards your dream? Does that question even make
Yeah,
sense?
yeah,
Or
I
I'm just
It
not
understand.
does.
What
sure.
were
The
That
you
makes
carrot
saying,
on
sense.
the
Tim?
stick. You just reaching for that carrot. You may not go for. You may not get it,
Mm-hmm.
but it's something that keeps you moving forward. Yeah,
Right. And it's not a goal in that I'm going to do this, but it's still kind of an aspiration. It's a something that I'm striving to do, that I'm not going to feel less than if I don't
right.
do it. Is it,
Like,
or does that seem like you're not really having the right amount of, I guess, confidence or faith in the thing that you're trying to do?
I mean, the term "living the
I
dream"
see you
exists
thinking,
for a
Darryl.
reason. Like you have to actively be in it, right? Like you have to constantly be in pursuit of this thing that's happening every day. Like everything that you do pushes that thing, right, or drives you to achieve whatever that thing is. And so when you're living it, right, like if you're like I said, if your goal is to lose weight or whatever it is, right? You're like every day I'm getting up, I'm doing all these different things that get me closer to that goal, right? I'm living it, I'm walking through it, I'm actually doing the thing that I said I'm going to do. You're working out actively, you're eating right, you're drinking your water, you're weighing yourself, can say whatever gets measured gets improved, whatever that you're doing, you're living the thing, and you have to actively be in it. It's not just some goal that's way down the line and one day we'll just magically reach there. It's every single step. Just like, you with your garden. You know what the end goal is for yourself, but you have to do the steps, right? And so that way when you say, I didn't just plant a garden just appeared, it's like I'm gardening. It's a verb, it's an action. You know what
Yep.
I mean? I'm doing the thing, I'm helping, I'm growing it, I'm living within it, this is the purpose and I'm walking in that purpose. So yeah, I mean, and you could actually never reach whatever that big dream is. But like you mentioned with the carrot with the stick, eventually you have to find out how to get the carrot. You can't just blindly,
Right.
chase after it. You know what I mean? It's now my thoughts have to gear towards how do I get the carrot now? I'm running towards it, but that's not the smartest course of action. Let me stop for a second, pause, figure out maybe get a contraption, maybe I stretch my hand out. Maybe do something, whatever it is, but all these things come within context, of course, because you have to have the right mindset in order to do it. You can't just blindly chase something. You know, you got to figure out, sit down, mastermind. Like when you mentioned 10K for the pod, for YouTube and subscribers, it was like maybe years ago my mindset would have been, man, that's a lofty goal. Now, as somebody who's a doer, the goal now the mindset is, oh, that's tight. How do we do that thing?
Yep.
There's plenty of people who
Yep.
will put obstacles in their own way by saying, "Oh man, that's hard." I'm not sure how we're going to do this. The winner, the doer, the driver says, "How do we do that?" And maybe we never come up
Yep.
with that answer, right? But I'm constantly searching for the answers. I'm constantly willing to do the work to get to whatever that thing is. And there's so many people who they just see this lofty thing and they're like, "Nah, too much. I'm gonna go do this other thing, that I can be easily satisfied in, or this small thing I can have success in." It's like, but that's not really what you wanted, right? You wanted this other thing, even if you don't hit 10,000. Say by whatever date you hit 8,000, people can look back and see the work, and they're like, "Man, you achieved a lot in this
Yep.
short span of time." And you're like, "Man, I
Yep.
appreciate the work that I put in, and I appreciate what we've gotten, but there's still a bigger goal." That's the difference between people
Yep.
who are going to be successful and those who aren't.
So that is very much my type of thinking, Darryl. I so you were saying, Chris, like, does it have to be kind of attainable, or if you just kind of running towards it? I think it should be attainable, but during the course of what you're doing, it might change as you start to kind of see what is more possible, or kind of, the thing is that we're human, right? So we don't know everything about everything, right? So we got this kind of, we seen what might be possible, plus we add a little bit to it to make it kind of like Darryl was saying, like a lofty goal, like something, I always shoot for the stars. So, we make this, we focus on this, and this is the thing that we want. But as you're going towards it, you might learn some stuff that makes you kind of shift gears, turn towards a different direction, be like, actually, I don't want this because no, I understand this, whatever, but I do want this. It's still just as lofty or whatever. It might become more attainable, but I do think that eventually it should be attainable, because if not, then you are going to probably end up frustrated, because you're like, I shot for this and I didn't get it, so I'm frustrated with myself. But I also know your type of thinking, Chris, because you're very practical. You're very pragmatic, and I am not. So
That's why we're a good team.
that's exactly. So I am very much like, no, let's go for the huge thing, and then kind of modify as we go along, knowing that
Right.
that
And
eventually.
but yeah, I was gonna say, and that's why you need goals, not only a dream, right? So
Yes.
the
Yeah.
dream,
Mhm.
okay, now what am I doing? To your point, Darryl, what am I doing to get there? And those are
Right.
the goals, and the goals are attainable and specific
Right.
because that's the things I'm doing, and those things you can do,
And
right?
I was going to
And
rebound
you'll
off of that.
eventually, yeah,
Yeah,
get there for
exactly.
sure.
So that's I agree as well. Like the work that, so if we get to June, I really hope that we have 10,000 plus followers and subscribers. If we get to June and we have like 5 or 8,000 or whatever, I'm still going to be very happy, because we put in a lot of work to get there, to get where we're at. We've done everything that we knew that we could do without like absolutely exhausting ourselves, or going broke or anything like that. Like we did what we felt was needed and whatever. And then of course me, I prayed about it like a maniac, or am praying about it. So like whatever, when we achieve it, when we reach the June, then it was it June 30th. We'll see how many it is, and I just will know. I'll be happy because we put in the work to get there. And despite whether it's because I could be off on the timing, so I said I wanted it June 30th. We might end up getting it like in July, something like that, or something like that, right? So I'm not really putting a like solid firm, oh, has to be this by this time. No, because that's not really how things work. But I'm putting it for myself because, like Darryl was talking about the graduation, I know it's there. So this is what I'm working towards, especially with my brain, the way my brain functions. I will definitely need, I definitely need a timeline. I definitely need to know
Right.
what I'm going for, so.
Yeah. On top of that, yeah, I'm gonna graduate, but also that means what?
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
this
What are we
class,
doing after,
this
right?
class, I need this grade. What does
Oh,
that
and
mean?
that
Well, I
too.
gotta turn in
Right.
all the homework,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I gotta at least do, whatever. Like there's things that we gotta do. Is not just, oh look, there's the goal. All right, let's go, and I'm gonna get there. No,
Right.
what's the plan?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Exactly.
What are the goals? What are the sub goals that I've got to hit?
Yeah.
It can't just be the big goal desire thing. There's got to be smaller things that I'm working towards to step through it.
And action items.
So I think go ahead. Yeah, absolutely. So I know that we brought you on today because you're kind of pursuing your dream, your desire. How did that come about? Kind of talk us a little bit around kind of how you got into the podcasting thing, and then how you got into now kind of what you're pursuing now in LA.
Okay. I mean, I've always wanted to be down here. I remember my first trip to LA. I was 19 years old. I came down for an audition for a school, actually. I get to the airport. I was supposed to stay with a friend down here, right? I get to the airport, flew in. He stops answering the phone, like just completely just ghosted me. And so I'm super sad in the airport. I call my mom. I call I'm on the phone with one of my homegirls. They get me a room at the La Quinta off of Sunset, right? It just so happened that weekend was the ESPYs. So the guy at the front desk, he's like, "You want to be a seat filler?" I've never even heard the term before. My first time in LA, and he
Oh,
was like,
nice.
"You can go to the ESPYs." At that time, my best friend and I were trying to pitch this commercial. You guys remember the Little Penny commercials back in the Anthony Hardaway and the Little Penny, Chris Rock? He was
First
a
of all,
little
what's
doll.
an SP?
It's the ESPN Awards.
Oh,
The
yes.
ESPN
Okay.
on Award show. So sorry, my bad.
Leave it to someone who does
Pardon.
not do sports. Okay.
We were trying to pitch these commercials like actively around that time to Dwayne Wade and his people about these commercials, and so I kind of looked at that, and knowing that the ESPYs was like the next day, I looked at that as kind of like divine intervention, like you placed me right here where all these people are going to be. I can literally meet this person, give my pitch. Now, it was super unprofessional because I spent the whole day trying to do that, just with the knowledge I had of who he was, who his management people were, things like that, using some of my connections. But I didn't. I met D-Wade that day. I got into the ESPYs, sat next to him, front row, whatever. Got a chance to talk to him.
Wow.
But it was disappointing because we never, we didn't achieve the goal. They turned down the pitch because that's not the way you pitch ideas to people, right? But
Right.
I was just left with this feeling that LA was a magical place, and I know that I can write, I know I can edit, I know I can act, all these different things. And then we just kept taking trips down here just to pitch scripts, all the time to these different agencies, trying to get some traction. So then I had my daughter, which is the only reason why I actually stayed in Seattle for as long. But after the pandemic, man, I started doing, before the pandemic, I started doing stand up. I got out of that relationship I was telling you guys about. I was like, I'm going to just do everything that I want to do. I have been doing celebrity interviews prior to that in Seattle, doing photography at all the concerts, meeting these artists, interviewing them, because that's something I've always wanted to do, just interviews. Got a chance to work at Vibe Magazine, Hot New Hip Hop DX. And I was like, man, I really want to, I want to entertain. Let me try this stand-up thing. And I did a couple sets, man, at some of the Seattle nightclubs, and then boom, pandemic hit. So when the doors opened up to the comedy clubs again,
that COVID.
I was like, let me just go full throttle. I've been through so much, over these past 4 or 5 years. Just like I said, almost died twice, emergency surgery, all these other things. I was like, look, man, it's either now or never. This has been a dream of mine since I was a kid. I'm not going to have any more opportunity. I'm already on borrowed time, I feel like, so let me just, drive this thing home. If my kid is cool with it, my parents support me, my daughter's mom is being supportive. It's like, okay, this is the time to go ahead and drive us home. We have been podcasting since like 2015. Like I said, I've been doing interviews, interviewing people back home, celebrity guests, nationally, internationally. It's like, how do I meld these two worlds? I'm already good at this. Like, not that I don't sound cocky and like that, but like as far as like being a host, like I'm amazing at this thing. Like I'm great at this thing.
I love it.
And if you can make people smile and laugh, and entertain and educate at the same time, it's like you got something, right? So all those things kind of separate over to comedy as well, right? To translate. And so I spent the last 2 years just doing open mics back home, and trying to get on bigger stages and just trying to master, as much as I could. But I always knew that I had to come here in order to really compete, in order to really stand out. Some of the goals that I want to accomplish, they happen here. There's a ceiling in Seattle. No offense to back home. I love home, but you got to be here to make some of the bigger things happen, So I came down in February. I came down actually my birthday weekend in July, and I went to the Laugh Factory. Have you guys ever been to LA to the Laugh Factory out here?
No, but I've
never been heard of it. But
I've heard of it from
so
comedians.
They do this thing called Chocolate Sundays, which is like all black entertainers. And I actually got there a little bit late, and so I had to sit upstairs. I'd never been upstairs in Laugh Factory, and they sat me close to the green rooms. I sat in the green room, and I met London Brown, who was on that show Power. He was on the show Ballers. I met Michael Blackson that night. We get to talking, and they're like, "Yo, you got to move. Like, you got to move down here." I was like, if this is what you want to do, you got to be here. And I watched Michael Blackson just tear the roof off that night, and it was crazy. Just for those guys, for me to meet them on a whim, and I had already been debating moving, and for them to just give me those positive affirmations, it's like, okay, I decided that weekend I'm gonna move. And then I had a friend of ours, Jack Knight. He had just passed away, self-transitioned, like 2 days before, and he was doing everything that I wanted to do, in comedy. He was on TV. He was writing for a Netflix show. Like he was getting to it, and then he passed, and it was like, okay, there's something here. There's a magic. There's a presence here. I gotta follow this thing. And so 6 months later, I'm down here, pursuing it, chasing ghosts, and of all the greats before me, just trying to do my thing and help develop content.
Nice, my goodness. So, like, you were mentioning a bunch of people that I don't know, but don't blame me. Listen, I'm in America and I don't watch a lot of stuff. So, but like, I have heard of the Laugh Factory because I have a lot of, like, my Instagram is like 90% stand-up comedy. So, so like, have you met, for example, I know like Matt Rife is in, do you know about Matt Rife? He's in,
I know exactly Matt. Well. I haven't met Matt, but I've seen his stuff.
Oh yeah, do you like it?
Oh yeah, man, that's hilarious.
He's
You put him on the spot.
I know, right?
Wait,
No, don't answer
wow.
that question. Like,
You know, Matt's hilarious. Like I said, I haven't met him yet, but he
he is
seems super cool.
hilarious. Yeah, yeah. I was actually thinking when Auntie was telling me about your what you were doing. I was like, oh man, you should meet Matt Wright. Not that I know him, but like I know he's down in LA. I know he hates it, and I know he loves black people. So
That's hella funny.
so yeah. Anyways, that's just what came across my mind. So, anyways, that's
Yeah,
go ahead, Chris.
I was thinking, Darryl. So you were talking about, when you finally reach the point of, hey, if I'm going to pursue this for real, I need to move. How have you felt during the transition from, hey, I have this dream and I'm kind of pursuing it actively, but not like fully, kind of part-time-ish, or kind of, and half into it, versus now kind of where you're more of, hey, like I'm actually full in up to my neck, like doing this. Like, do you feel different kind of in that paradigm versus now kind of being all in and really doing?
It does feel a little different. It's a little more humbling, because now you get to see the grand scope of everything, right? But at the same time, I'm appreciative of that because you see just where you're at and how hard you have to work and some of the different things that you have to do. Like back home, there's only a couple comedy clubs. There's Nate Jackson's comedy club in Tacoma, which is a great club. Shout out to Nate. But then there's like the Seattle Comedy Club. There are like two other places that you can go for real. And it's like, I don't want to just be like the big fish there. Not a lot of opportunities come
Yeah.
through there, and like you can be a person that's known for doing something, but like, do you want to be successful in it? And, here there's
Right.
just so many different opportunities and different offshoots of comedy. Like I want to write for TV. That's what I want to do. I want to develop my own show like
You want to
Quentin
work? You
Brunson
want to
or
do what?
Ace Ray. I want to write my own show eventually. Like I
Okay.
don't aim to be the best
Okay.
stand-up comedian. I want to be good at what I do, but I want to use comedy as a way
Right.
into television. So
Oh yeah. Okay.
just kind of seeing, you get a chance to really see it down here and really get a chance to see what you're up against. I think 90% of any battle is kind of, knowing what's in front of you, knowing what you have to
Yep.
face.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you know that, you can prepare for it, right? But again, in Seattle and in a lot of places that don't really have a lot of, that's not an entertainment hub, you never really know what actually is out there for you, or some of the things you have to do or what that really looks like. And so I'm grateful, I'm humbled, of course, but um, I'm ready to work. I'm ready to just continue doing what we're doing to make the bigger dream happen.
Yeah,
Nice.
man. Yeah, I was thinking about you. You mentioned kind of being in Seattle and being, you could be a big fish in a little pond versus going to LA and kind of being a smaller fish in a larger pond. But I think about, like goldfish, they tend to grow to the size of their environment. So,
Right.
they have them in
Mm-hmm.
some little tank and they get about this big, right? You put them in like a pond and those things just grow and grow and grow, right? So it, it's amazing how, once you have kind of that space to actually grow, right? Like if you're motivated, you can then actually fill that space, right? You can actually
Mm-hmm.
spread out, versus in a smaller place, you almost get stunted in your growth if you're not looking for something else, right? Okay, I
Right.
grew, all right, that's it, right? And it might feel good. I'm the biggest goldfish in this tank. But if your dream is bigger than that, then sometimes you got to be uncomfortable and be willing to not be the big dog, right, in order to grow and become kind of what you want to be.
Yeah, and actually to that point, like I was just thinking, if someone wants to be the big, the big fish in the little pond, if that is like really their goal, then more power to them. But if they're really trying to like grow, like I guess everyone has kind of different stages. So for example, Darryl just said he doesn't want to be the best comedian. He wants to take that somewhere else. Like he wants to take that into writing and stuff like that, which is something, some people want to be the best comedian. He wants to do something else with it, which I really, I didn't know that. And I think that's new and cool and interesting actually, because I also want to write TV scripts, probably just for myself, but That's a whole different other. That's a whole other topic. But I appreciate everyone's kind of goal that they set for themselves. You know, I like personally. I like pushing. I like to see. I don't push, but I like to see where people really would like to go. A lot of people kind of downplay what they can do or where they want to go because it's just kind of life and stuff like that. But if you kind of get them out of their head to see where it is that they want to go, like people have, they will surprise you with the things that they actually want to do. You would have never guessed it. Like I have I guess my own classical ways of thinking, like getting here, getting there. But then you let people express themselves. They'll tell you things that you didn't even think about. Like I really appreciate that, and I say that really for our listeners, to be honest, because I really want to point out that you don't have to be a cookie cutter anything. You do, if you're like, I like this, I want to do this, but as a means to do this and this and this, like go for it. Do not kind of feel like you have to do it one particular way or you have to become this, whatever, because other people's goals are not going to be what motivates you. It's going to be, at the end of the day, really your goals, your desires that motivate you to do the thing that you need to do. So
For sure.
sorry,
For
I
sure.
probably got
I
a
was
little
thinking.
preachy there, but
I know, right? You're always preaching. So Darryl, I'm kind of curious. You mentioned all the support that you had from friends and family to go do this. Did you have to work through any people that were kind of, the sometimes how I can be the me's, right? They were like, I don't know if that's going to work, or you sure you don't just want like a stable blah blah blah. Like, how'd you kind of work through some of those detractors or the more I guess grounded folks that tried to maybe discourage you from actually doing it and taking this big step?
The practical people, the people who
practical.
need to
We'll
be
call it
grounded.
practical.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, because I mean, you need those people, right? So I have friends that ask me, like, "Are you sure like this? Something you want to do? Like, have you thought this through? Have you, what's going to happen with Summer, my daughter? You know, what are you going to do for work? Like all these questions, and I think I've just grown to a place where you appreciate those kind of things because those are the questions that do need to be asked, right? Like, you have to be practical at some point in time. So I learned to appreciate it now. Years ago, I probably wouldn't have, right? But I'm in a better place to receive those things now. Like everything, like you guys have a team, right? There has to be, like I said all the time, I'm not good with money.
Yep.
There's got to be the money person, right? There's got to be the person who worries about
Mm-hmm.
the bottom line, and that person has to be able to monetize the thing. I'm not good at that, so I know if I want to grow in this thing, I have to get somebody who's good at that. Even if they bother me, they annoy me. My best friend is like that. Like we always ask these type of questions. I'm like, man, I'm not sure how we're going to do it, but we're going to do it, right? That's my attitude getting there.
Right.
If you want to set the steps in place, I'll follow them, right? But as long as we both know we're getting to the thing, then that's fine. And so my mom's that way. My mom plays the obstacles in her own way sometimes. It's annoying a little bit, but she'll do it. She'll question, well, how are you going to do this thing and how are you going to do that? I just take it as a challenge because now I have to find the answer to it. It's a question that has to be
Yep.
asked. We can't just ignore it. How are you gonna pay your rent? How are you gonna
Right.
get gas money? How are you gonna? You're driving down there. Who's gonna do this? It's like, okay, I'm gonna take that list of questions. Now let me go find the answers for them. But when I find the answers for them, please
Right.
stay the hell out of my face because now we have a plan, right?
Right.
And you can't come
Totally.
try to knock me off my perch, because like if you're gonna present more obstacles, more things that we need to think about, that's fine, right? But don't just be stuck on,
Mm-hmm.
what you can and can't do. Please don't tell me what I can't do because I'll prove you wrong
Yeah.
every time. But help me get to that
Yeah.
place. And even in delivering those questions, you have to. Some people just aren't. People aren't romantics about life a lot of times. Some people just
Yeah.
want
Mm-hmm.
the stability, and that's fine, right? There's nothing wrong with that. But I just dream big. I think about plenty outrageous. I live a pretty outrageous life. We do a lot of outrageous things, that I didn't know that I was capable of doing before, but I just knew I was going to dive head first into it. So when people get to telling me what they think their challenges might be, I'm like, hey, that's my challenge for you, right? Like your stop, that's the
Yeah.
impediment for you. That's not an impediment for me.
Yep.
I learned how to climb that hurdle. So thank you for being concerned. However, please keep that negativity over on that. So go dock that somewhere else.
Well, now you two
Absolutely.
know that it runs in the family.
I
No,
love it.
because
I love it.
I agree. In our podcast, we all have very different traits when it comes to the things that we want to do. Chris is very pragmatic. I am very shoot for the stars, and Tim doesn't say much, but he's very poignant when he does say the things that he has to say. So like it all just kind of works out. My husband and I, we do have that thing where he is very much more like, do we have the money for this, or will we have the money for this, or blah 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 blah. And I'm like, okay, I hear you. We will have the money for it. I don't know how.
Yeah, like
See,
But
we're gonna get it.
yeah, Daryl's still Daryl's still a little more grounded than you, Nate. Because Daryl's like, yeah, like Daryl's like, yeah, okay, I'll get the plan to come back. Nate's like, it's gonna work,
Yeah,
and then it works, and you're like, well, I guess he was right. I don't know what to say. Like,
yeah. Well, I
well,
mean,
the
it's because
thing is that I tell Liam all
there's
the
value in
time.
that.
Yeah,
Oh
well,
my
I
bad.
mean, yeah, everyone's different. So like, I'm not very. I know. I don't know where I don't know, but the thing that I tell Liam all the time is because he'll get worried about like some new thing will happen, like we just had to fix the car's like fan, right? He's like, oh, we hadn't planned for it, even though we have money like set aside for these types of things. Like we didn't plan for it, and they just kind of start getting stressed out. And I'm like, yo, whoa, like, have we ever had an issue where like it literally took us down? No, we moved all around France, and then we moved to California, and then we moved back. We've never had an issue. Why do you think all of a sudden this one thing is going to bring us down? Like it does. Like I'm just like, let's ride the wave. Let's just keep going for it. I don't know how it's going to work out. I have a lot of faith, but I mean, actually, the whole faith part, Darryl was talking about it. It sounded a lot about like faith, but maybe people call it different things. Where you just like you're living in the dream. That's how I feel. That's what I do. I think that's really what it's about. It's
Yeah,
about
you gotta have that. They say
forecasting, like
even
looking at it.
biblically.
Yeah,
Oh my bad. But they say biblically, like dreams without works is dead, right? So I mean, faith without works is dead. Like you have to be able to move towards your faith. I have faith in this thing, but I still got to put action behind it. There was an action point that you were talking about,
yeah, yeah,
Chris,
yeah,
earlier. It's
yeah.
like
Exactly.
I have faith that it's going to work, but it will not work if I don't do the things that it takes to make it work. I want to drive to the pier, but I need gas. You're not just going to get there. How are we going to get there? Put gas in the car. Go. You know what I'm saying? Stop at the gas station. Go do. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? And so I think for every relationship that you have, I think that's going to be something that advances. You got to have somebody that's a little aloof, and you got to have somebody who's a little bit of a stickler. Just because there's a checks and
yep,
balances there, right? I
you're
like
right.
being an aloof
Yep,
person because I like to know that there's plenty of other things that we can get to, things we can accomplish. Now, the other stickler, I said my best friend, he's going to make sure the bullet points get nailed and checked off. But it's like, okay, yeah, cool,
yep,
you did that. Okay, we got it, bro. But let's keep going. Like, let's do let's do the thing. And if I'm not really aloof and I'm not allowed to dream bigger, then how do we know we can hit a goal and how do we know we can reset? Reset the goal and go do something else. Like
yeah,
if you're just very not to say it's not to take a crap at anybody, but if you just want to be like plain Jane and you just want to like achieve like the small day to day stuff, with no ambition to anything bigger, then that's fine for you, right? And that's cool. Maybe you can join my team as a worker bee, right, and help me achieve some of these smaller
yeah,
goals. I'm gonna focus on the
yeah,
big picture because like I said, you
right.
need that. Everybody, there's a place. Everybody can be a cog. Are you a small cog, a bigger cog? Doesn't matter. We all help the machine run.
yeah.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's right. Like, were you gonna say something, Tim?
Oh no, no, I was just agreeing on that. I agree.
Yeah, there are people who just don't want to. They're not the dreamers, I guess. I don't know if that's like a natural thing or not, which is something I kind of wanted to talk about. I know we're getting at towards the end of our time, but um, do you all think that everybody has a dream, but they're just not, or a desire, but they're just not willing to fulfill it for the most part? Or do you think that there are like specific dreamers, like big dreamers, and then others who just kind of help accomplish that?
I I think two things. One, I believe there are different What's the word? I guess like sizes of dreams, right? I think certain people, their dream is to have a couple kids and have a happy family and pay their bills, right? Like that's their dream.
Mm-hmm.
And if they have that, they are 1,000% happy,
Mm.
right? Because that's their dream and they got it and they are good, right? I think other people have much broader dreams, right? And they go reach for those things. I think both things are great. What I think is sad is when someone is living the life over here, right? But yet their true dream is over here,
Yeah.
is somewhere else, and there's a mismatch.
Right.
That's where I think people get sad because again, there's all types of people, there's all types of jobs and ways to live,
Mm-hmm.
and I think there's enough space for everyone to be able to do something, right? Like people are like, oh, you only work at McDonald's, right? Well, if that person is able to work at McDonald's and live the life they want, like maybe you wouldn't be happy with that.
Right.
Maybe you need more, but they might be like, look, I get to go to McDonald's, I get to just kind of work and talk to my friends and brainlessly kind of do stuff all day, and then when I leave McDonald's, I drop it.
Yeah.
And I go live my life, right? Like I'm not thinking about strategy and how we're gonna make more money next week. I'm like, whatever. Like I get to do that, and then I get to leave, and then I get to do other things. Other people are like, I'd be so brain dead at McDonald's. I can't implement strategy. I can't dream. I can't do right.
Yeah.
And so it's just different. But I think it's important that really people really investigate themselves, like what find a dream, right? It doesn't have to be my dream or someone else's dream, but find your dream,
Right.
and then like pursue that thing versus just the living. And again, don't compare yours to everyone else's.
No.
And just because yours is small, don't poo-poo someone else's big dream,
Right.
and vice versa.
Right.
That's kind of how I look at it.
Okay. What about the ratio?
The ratio.
I mean, you too.
No, I know I said a lot. Hope I didn't say
No,
everything.
I agree with what Chris is saying. You know, everybody has their own dream. Some people, they may not. To you, it may seem like they have a lack of a dream, but like Chris is saying, some people just they don't want to do much. They just want to sit back and you know go to work, hit a button, come home, drink a beer or whatever they do. And that's their life, and they're satisfied with that. Some people, they do that, and then they see other people they know do other things, and then they try to dream bigger sometimes. But no, I agree with what Chris is saying. And on top of that, I haven't had coffee, so uh,
It's like my brain is barely working here. So,
I think
so yeah.
I want to. I take a different approach to it. I think the ability to dream is all based off our conditioning. I think when you think about say like an immigrant family, they move somewhere, right? Come over to the U.S. Um, you know, the conditioning for them is survive, right? Everything's in survival mode. So whatever you
right.
might have had a passion about, what I mean, like movies, media, star, whatever. That's not everybody's thing, but like you can't do that because you got to do this, right? We got to make sure the family's operating. We got to make sure that the kids are fed, things like that. I think conditioning stamps out a lot of dreams, right? Or it doesn't even allow for people to think bigger than what than what they have. I was blessed. We come from big families, and so and a lot of things were taken care of. Not just by ours, but we had a coalition of aunts, uncles, grandma, grandpa. There was resources there. So if I wanted to look at something bigger than myself, I could, right? It's been taken care of, but some people don't have that luxury, and I think that even like I don't want to sound like stereotypical, but like single parent households sometimes it's survival mode. For a lot of people, you see that down here with some of the students my sister works with. They're not even allowed to dream, because they have to get to the next day. Get to the next week, things have to be taken care of.
Yeah.
So you'll hear people say, "I don't have time for that." Whatever that thing is, that they would like to do or could possibly see themselves doing, it's stamped out because the realities of life, kind of hit them. So I think one, having a dream is a luxury. We're comfortable enough to think about something more than just our mere survival. Um, so I think that we haven't even had the chance to formulate a dream. I've talked to plenty of people about what it is that they might want to do. If everything was taken care of, all your bills are paid, what could you see yourself doing? And you watch just as like the cogs turn in people's minds. Like that's such a struggle for them to think about because they've been conditioned to not even look at anything lofty or anything big, or anything that's esoteric. They're just like, fam, I'm consumed with the day to day, and I'm so consumed with the day to day that you even putting a scenario out that things are taken care of is mind blowing to me. Like get away from me with that because you know what I'm saying? You're taking me off of what I've been dealing with. So it's just like you were saying. You put a goldfish like in a small pond or a small tank. They're never going to grow to the size that they're supposed to be, right? But you kept them there. The conditions don't allow for them to get any bigger. You're living off of just
Mm.
Yeah.
meager resources. Things like that. It's like you look at another fish in a different pot and you turn away from it. But it's like I don't even know how they got that big. That's mind blowing to me. I don't even know what it took to do that. It's so overwhelming for a lot of people. So again, I think having a dream is a luxury. To be able to pursue that dream at all costs is even more of a luxury. I know how fortunate that I've been just to be here, and getting the support that I have. I don't take any of it for granted. But I do feel for some other people who I know, like we go to school, people who just want to be a nurse. They're like, I just want to get a nurse because my grandma was a nurse, my mom was a nurse, and this is all I see myself doing, and everything in the family aligns with that. Like not even, man, I just want to be a lawyer. It's like, no, the family, we're nurses. We don't do the lawyer stuff. We do,
Right.
we do nurse stuff. And it's
Yeah.
like, okay, cool. And that's beat into people's heads. So you see with immigrant families a lot. You're going to be a doctor. You're going to you're
Yep.
going to be this, you're going to be that. And everything in your life to that point, even when you got your own freedom to do what you want, you've been so conditioned and trained to that, you don't deviate from that path. It's not a bad thing because you can still find success, but you've never been able to formulate for yourself what things might look like if you were in control of your own thoughts. So again, it's a luxury for us to be able to do and say some of the things and dream and imagine even, and wonder. But, I just think that everybody doesn't even have the opportunity to. So when you get the
Mm.
opportunity to, you
Yeah,
don't waste it. You don't turn away from it. What is it? The audacity of hope. Like how dare we
Yeah.
think about something bigger than ourselves? How dare we? Because everybody else is on this one track mind to just survive. You know.
Yeah.
Sorry, hope that
right.
answers it.
So do you guys think? Yeah, do you think having a dream is ever a liability? So I think to your point, yeah, there are so many people that just they never have had they've never afforded themselves the time to stop and think about, do they even have a dream, right? They're just
Right.
doing day-to-day stuff and no one has stopped them to ask them the question. Like their environment isn't one that anyone's asking that question, right? People are just doing what they got to do to survive, and then next generation does the same thing, right? No one's asking them, no one's thinking about it. D- does introducing the idea of a dream into that environment, is that a helpful thing or is that a liability, do you guys think?
Oh man, that is a whole nother conversation. Like, I think it's just a personal thing. This is also why I wanted to go into life coaching, because, well, it gives you the opportunity for the people to come to you and say, oh, I feel burnt out, or whatever. I feel like I could have something else or something better or whatever, but I don't know how to reach it. But I think that it only becomes a liability. This is my own personal opinion, but also it's not, I haven't proven it or anything like that. So like, it's just from what I've observed, right? But there's no liability that comes with dreams, like positive dreams and positive desires, unless you become so kind of like one focused on it that you lose track of everything else. Then yes, that can be a liability. So for example, if you got a family to feed, but you decide that you're just going to stop your job and everything and then go do this other thing that is not, is not paid, or is not, it's not, you're not making money for it, you don't know if it's going to work out or whatever, I think that becomes a liability. Because I think it's just, you're going for your dream, which is good, but you're probably going about it, you probably needed some more maybe assistance or understanding about how to properly do it. I am the type of person who, I will think about something, think about it, and I'll try to figure out, I'll try to do it the what we'll call the responsible way. But at the end of the day, it's not responsible the way I do it. I really just drop everything because I
Yeah,
cannot stop myself from dropping
right.
everything and doing the thing. Luckily, thank God it has always worked out. So there's no like huge issue, but I do not counsel people to do that,
Right.
because it's dangerous. You could like ruin your family and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
I think that's
So
probably the only time for me
yeah.
that I think that would become a liability.
So then outside of someone, recklessly pursuing the dream, if someone is just in a situation where they're currently having to live day to day, you don't see it harmful to them to all of a sudden have this desire for, say, I work day to day, I work 8 hours a week to support my family, and now you came and talked to me. Now I have this desire to, say, go pursue comedy in LA, right? Like,
Can I? You
now
mind if I
that's in
answer
my
that?
heart to go do that, but I'm still doing the day to day.
No,
Yeah,
go
sure.
ahead.
I was asking all you all. Yeah.
I think the dream is not the liability, right? It's the disciplines are the liability, right? Like the thing itself is not evil, right? The thing itself is not bad. It's just how you either prioritize that thing, or how your actions align with the thing. So like you can have the dream, right? And you can have this burning desire, but you also need to take accountability, right? Like there's things that have to be taken care of in order for you to pursue that thing. Like yeah, it might eat at you, right? Because it's a thought. That's what it's going to do. But at the same time, if you don't align yourself with making sure you're taken care of or your family's taken care of, then the dream, it will become a source of resentment for those around you. However, that thing is not bad, right? Because if you were to accomplish that thing,
Mm-hmm.
then that's a great thing, right? And also, how selfish are we to introduce the concept of dreaming to someone who's never had it, right? That's a self kind of fulfilling thing. We're satisfied knowing that somebody can achieve their dream. I'm happy, so I want you to be happy too. This is how I found happiness. Let me introduce this thing to you. Now it's happy. That's a very selfish thing because that person didn't have that
Well, and
before.
that's kind of the point of my question, right? Is is
Yeah,
is is opening someone's mind to more in some ways, is that us now putting more burden on them because now
not
they
not a
have this other
burden,
thing?
not a burden because they don't have to accept it, right? It's like, we see these missionaries introducing Christianity all around the world, right? Christianity is not necessarily inherently evil. However, if you tell that person that this is the way, right, and the light, and this is what they have to follow, this doctrine now, and especially if they don't understand and fully contextualize what this thing is, like I said, that can be the evil in that, and that can be the bad part. The thing I introduced to you is not bad. However, it was selfish for me to do so because I saw that it benefited me. I also think that might be able to benefit you, but I get some satisfaction knowing that you're going to be benefited, right? That's the selfish aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it'll definitely be a point of resentment for those around you. Everything has to be taken in strides. Everything has to be everything's not a poison, but you can let that thing poison you over time, by indulging too much in it. Even too much water can kill you. It's like the source of life on
Right.
the planet. So it's like, what do you do with that thing that you have now? You have to know what to do. How, like, at a
Right.
point in time, we did our own film, right? We did our own short film. We sent like $30,000 into it, right? Like, and we didn't win no awards, no film festivals, nothing like that. It consumed my life for the better part of 2 years. Constant arguments with my partner and things like that because I wanted to solely focus on that. I should have been better tempered and had better disciplines around that thing, to make sure that my life was balanced out, as opposed to just fully indulging, sinking this money that I could have used for so many other things, into this film. I didn't do it the smart way. So now I can see how, again, the pursuit of that thing, or the prioritizing of that thing was the evil. That was the bad. That was the poison, not necessarily the thing itself. Because when we do the film, hey, we hit our goal. People are proud of you. You have something to show for it. All those things are dope. But what did you do along the way, and how did you go about it? So those are the
Yep.
bad things. I think just the disciplines, not knowing yourself or lack of discipline, not knowing yourself. You can't fully, if you haven't fully contextualized this and how it's really going to affect your life before you start the pursuit of it, you're doing yourself a disservice. And it's hard to see because you have to fail so many times in order to even have that train of thought. Like you
Yeah.
got to fall down
Right.
first and be like, okay, next time I get in these skates, I know I have to continue my momentum, put my foot this way to stop, all this other stuff. It's like, yeah, bro, you should have said that before you broke your arm the first time. You should have known,
Right.
before you crashed and,
Yeah.
and now you're in the hospital full. So then next you learned, you learn from it, but you kind of got to go through it, so again, but it's a luxury to be able to do so. And it will become
Yeah.
a point of resentment for people around you, even though okay, I learned. I'm gonna do this better next time. People around you like, hey, bro, there ain't no next time. You tried it, you failed at it. We not doing this again. And
Right.
don't ever mention,
Right.
don't ever mention this stuff to us. Don't ever bring this up again. Because you failed at it, and
Right.
this is what it cost us.
Yeah. And I think people oftentimes get protective of others because they don't want them to have the pain of not reaching the dream. Like you know that stereotypically, the heartwarming movies where, the well-to-do person goes into the hood and they meet some kid and they introduce them to some dream, right? What was it, basketball, whatever it
What
is,
was that?
right?
Gangster?
Yeah.
No,
And
what was the
then
name of that movie with the
there's
So
Go
many of
Gangsters
those
Paradise?
movies.
Yeah, I know,
Hardball.
I'm
right?
done with those
yeah,
movies.
but right, yeah, but then always in those movies, right? There's some either parent or somebody that's upset
Mm-hmm.
at the person putting these
And their
dreams
kid.
in their head when they'll never be able to get it. They'll just be
Sister
disappointed,
Act.
right? And so, like that's what I was
Yeah.
thinking of when I was asking the question. Like, I don't subscribe to that personally, but like I've seen that in society where it's like we're upset that they were doing fine, right? But now that you've put this dream in their head, now they're not going to be satisfied with this life.
Yeah, but see,
and that's a problem.
that's only a
right?
problem. That's not a problem for. That's only that's a perceived or a assumed problem for example, in this case, the parent, right? So they assume that it's going to be a problem because they kind of are trying to predict it because they've seen what has happened in the past. The past doesn't necessarily explain what the future is going to be. They just have a very narrow, and this is why it is interesting and important, I think, to share dreams and visions and stuff like that, because people like I thought I had a very huge imagination, but hearing and seeing what other people are capable of expands my mind to be able to tell me, oh man, I could actually look for so much more. I could think so much bigger and stuff like that. I didn't know that this was possible and stuff like that. It's important to exchange ideas and to share them and opinions so that so that you learn more about the world. If you, like Darryl was saying, you don't have to hold on to that. If that's not for you, if you don't think it's good, don't hold on to it. But you can't. You would have to bury your head in some sand in order to prevent, excuse me, new information and stuff like that from crossing your mind. Like, for example, if you're sending a kid to school and then you're, as a parent, you're expecting that kid to do nothing but go to school, get good grades and whatever, you're a fool, because that kid is learning everything
Right.
everything at school from A to Z, and it's not necessarily being taught. So you've got kids coming, so they're probably going to come out of there with ambitions that you just were not expecting. So that's just in response to it. I don't think it means it's a liability. I think it just challenges people that were not ready to dream in the first place.
And also, like, people got to understand that they're a liability sometimes to themselves and to others.
Yeah.
Like, you got to know, like, if you can't handle whatever the thing is, bro, get that out your hands. Get that to somebody else, because, and a lot of times we're really arrogant. I've been arrogant in my life several times where I was a liability, not just to my friends, but to projects that we had. But it all boiled down to me. Like, it wasn't the thing that we were doing that was bad. It was, do you have the discipline to sustain this thing and make everything else work too? I accepted, not fully contextualizing what that meant for me. And sometimes, I blew it, for my friend group. I blew it in business partnerships, things like that. It wasn't the thing that was liability, because we were going to make good money. Everybody's going to be doing great. It was me. I was the liability in that because I wasn't disciplined enough to handle it. And I accepted the responsibility for that thing before I fully knew what that responsibility was, or just flat out neglected it sometimes. Like you said, Nate, like, it'll be fine. I know it'll work out for me. And it's like, nah, bro, there's baby steps. And you're not taking them steps. So, this project, when we
Oh,
get
I
to
am so
the
bad
end
with baby
date,
steps.
because there is an end date for this thing, and you haven't done the work, fam, we all blew it, because you didn't know. So it's not the thing that's the liability. It's people. And once we really, like, fully,
Yeah.
again, you got to fail a couple times in order to, get some things right. But once we, like, fully master ourselves or understand ourselves better, then we can start to have success. because you know your weak points. You know what to shore up. You know what to get rid of
Yep.
entirely. You know what to avoid. You know, like, I don't want to take on all that responsibility because
Yep.
last time I did, I failed. I messed it up. I'm gonna just do this small piece here.
Mhm.
This is my commitment. I can do this. You know, so we got it's us more often than not.
Yep. Yep.
Absolutely. Well, folks, I think that's a good place to stop it for today. Darryl, thank you so much for coming today,
Yeah.
joining us. It's been a great conversation. It's been amazing.
Thank you
I'm
so
looking
much. I
forward to
appreciate
seeing
you guys
what
having
you
me.
do in the future.
Yes.
Yeah, and
Definitely.
having you come back on once we can kind of get an update. So, is there anything that you want to promote today, or send people to a particular website or links that you've got out there?
Man, just follow my Instagram. Follow my Instagram, Twitter page is the number four, Hoochies only. For Hoochies only. My stage name is Reese the Hoochie. It's pretty funny. It's sparked a cause of a lot of conversation.
Oh yeah.
um, yeah, man, just follow my Instagram and
The
follow my
comedy
Twitter,
and
man. It's
twerking. All right.
we just want to have some fun, man, and just make people laugh. That's all.
All right. And
That's
for
amazing.
Hoochies is HOOCHIESONLY,
Yes, sir.
right?
Yep.
Okay.
4 Hoochies only.
All right. For Hoochies only.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, thanks again, Darryl. And thanks everyone for listening today and watching. We appreciate you guys. As always, you know where we're at. We're on Twitter, not so much, but mostly Instagram and YouTube. That's kind of where our main focus is, even TikTok sometimes. So, yeah, give us a like, subscribe, follow us, and check us out. Thanks as always to Nate for doing the video and audio editing. Tim over here holding it down with some of the visual stuff. My son Jaden Moore does our theme music. He's also getting some other stuff for us for our reels, so we don't get taken down for copyright sometimes when we post things to YouTube. But we're gonna thanks to him. You'll see we have a link tree out now, so you'll see all our stuff is on there as well as his band lab link. So check him out there. And
Oh, real quick, my bad.
we'll catch y'all next time.
Can I say this real quick?
What's up?
My bad. I'm bringing my
Say
podcast
it.
back. My podcast is called "Should We Be Doing This?" So we
Oh,
actually
that's
getting ready.
right. Yeah, because I was okay.
Yeah.
So you're gonna
We
do
took a
it
hiatus for
from
a
a
little bit.
distance. Okay.
No, actually, I found
All
some
right,
folks
all
down
right.
here to record with. I'm gonna go home, record one last episode with the old crew next week, and then I'll be back down here with the new crew. So should we be doing this? Is on all platforms. Yeah, make sure like, rate, subscribe, leave a comment, all that good stuff.
Sweet.
Okay.
We'll check it out.
Yep.
All right, folks. Well, hey, that's been our show today. It's been great.
Yep.
We'll catch y'all next time.
Ciao. Bye, Tim.
Bye, Tim.